Good morning y buenos días. Tenemos una sesión ahora solicitada por la Confederación Sindical Internacional y la Confederación Sindical de Trabajadores y Trabajadoras de las Américas, CSA. Tendremos aproximadamente 60 minutos y quisiera solicitar a la parte peticionaria que se limiten a 30 minutos en sus exposiciones iniciales y que también se identifiquen a los 6 integrantes antes de comenzar su presentación. Ahí le doy la palabra. Buenos días.
Gracias. Honorable Commissioners, my name is Jeff Oates. I'm the Legal Director of the International Trade Union Confederation. On behalf of the ITUC and the Trade Union Confederation of the Americas, I'm pleased to testify at this thematic hearing on the crisis in the exercise of freedom of association in the Americas. Last year, ILO Director General Guy Ryder explained at the 18th Regional ILO meeting in Lima that it is very important that we send a common tripartite message to the world from the Americas, saying that there is no human development without decent work, and democracy only prospers if there are better jobs for all. Unfortunately, the right to freedom of association and collective bargaining are violated systematically in law and in practice in the Americas. In recent years, we have witnessed shrinking union membership, falling collective bargaining coverage, and consequently lower wages and benefits, greater job insecurity, and greater inequality in much of the Americas. This requires the urgent attention of the Inter-American Commission, a continent whose workers are unable to exercise these rights without fear of repression, a situation increasingly a norm, will also necessarily confront other serious human rights challenges. In many countries, including right here in the United States, the social fabric risks being torn apart as exploitation and income inequality become more commonplace. Today, we'll present you an overview in the form of our regional report, which you have on your table, which contains the observations of trade unions throughout the region as to the legal and practical obstacles to the exercise of freedom of association in their country. In some countries, anti-union violence continues to be a serious problem, such as in Colombia, Mexico, Honduras, and Guatemala. There, trade unionists risk their lives to organize, form unions, and bargain collectively. In other countries, entire types of work, including farm work, are excluded from the coverage of labor law or are afforded far inferior rights. This is the case, for example, in the United States, Canada, and Peru. In many countries, the minimum membership requirements to establish a union are too high, including in Guatemala and Ecuador, which prevent the majority of workers from being able to form unions at the enterprise level. Further, some governments have placed impermissible limitations, such as a single union per sector. Anti-union discrimination is a generalized phenomenon in the Americas, and in most countries, the law provides insufficient protection against dismissal. In Argentina, for example, the law only protects certain kinds of unions, such as asociaciones sindicales con personería gremial. There is no effective protection against anti-union discrimination for workers who are fired who are not members of such organizations. In most countries, collective bargaining agreements now cover only a small fraction of the workforce. In Mexico, roughly 90% of the contracts that they do have are so-called protection contracts, which are negotiated between criminal gangs or corrupt unions and employers without the participation of the workers who are supposed to benefit from these contracts. The right to strike, a fundamental right without which workers are reduced to collective begging, is very limited in many countries. In Costa Rica, of the roughly 600 strikes that have taken place over the years, a mere 10 have been deemed legal. In Canada, the government has legislated workers back to work at wages and conditions inferior to the employer's last offer. Excessive procedural requirements frustrate the effectiveness of numerous strikes in the Americas. Throughout the Americas, the employment relationship has been restructured as a conscious strategy to frustrate unionizations and collective bargaining by pushing workers into multiple layers of subcontracting, repeated short-term contracts, or hiring workers through legal fiction such as cooperatives. Workers are unable to effectively exercise their rights under law. Finally, in all countries, enforcement of labor law, where it happens at all, is extremely slow and in some cases lasting several years. The remedies available are often extremely weak and neither provide an adequate remedy for workers nor provide a dissuasive sanction to employers. Indeed, in Honduras, fines have not been increased since 1980. Fines today range from a mere about $9.35 to about $460 maximum, as such serious violations of freedom of association continue apace. And even when workers receive a final binding judgment from the legal system, employers ignore them with impunity. The Inter-American human rights system has a clear mandate and the tools to protect worker rights, including the right to freedom of association. It is our hope that the Inter-American Commission, and in particular the work of the Rapporteur on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, can develop and promote the full scope of the member states' obligations to respect worker rights on the various legal instruments of the Inter-American system. Thank you very much. I'll pass it off to my colleague, Ana Catalina Herrera from CGT Colombia.
Honorables comisionados, buenos días a todas y todos. Con la venia de ustedes me permito presentar brevemente la situación de Colombia en materia de libertad sindical. Derecho conformado